Days after Lauren Boebert decided to imply that her congressional colleague, Representative Ilhan Omar, is a terrorist, Ilhan Omar ended up receiving pretty specific death threats, one of which she shared with the public during a press conference recently. Now, we're gonna get to that video in just a second, but before we do, I think it's probably important to note that after Lauren Boebert was caught making those statements about Representative Omar in a leaked video, other videos emerged where she says the exact same thing, and it looks like it's just some sort of like bit that she's shopping around during her public events. And so I wanted to show you that. This is another video featuring a member of the United States House of Representatives implying that a Muslim representative is a terrorist.
One of my staffers on his first day with me got into an elevator in the Capitol. And in that elevator, we were joined by Ilhan Omar. Well, it was just us three in there, and I looked over and I said, well, look at there, it's the Jihad Squad. Yeah. I do have to say, she wasn't dropping and running, so we're good. You have Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. And these are just black-hearted, evil women who want to destroy our
Nice. Just want to direct your attention to graphic 3 here, because this is a photo, a mugshot to be specific, of Representative Boebert. She had been arrested several times, actually, which I'll give you details of in just a second, but pretty rich for this woman to be passing judgment on someone else just based on their religious identity. Just wanted to make that point real quick. But John, I'm just...
I hate it. I hate every bit of it. I hate the fact that this is just now super just expected. Like the stuff that Boebert's saying is absolutely horrendous. And it's not the worst stuff that a congressperson has said about other congresspeople in like the last month. And the month is fresh now. We just entered December. Do you think we're gonna get to Christmas before we have something even worse? Madison Cawthorn's been out of the news for a couple weeks. How's he gonna get in there? New housing plan? Probably not. More likely he's gonna say something crazily homophobic or something like that.
The fact that there is no policy in regard to housing or anything else, that's the reason why they do this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What else are they gonna talk to their constituents about? Hey, constituents, I've been in office for a number of years and I've accomplished absolutely nothing for you, but I gotta do some campaigning and fundraising, and so let me dig into fear and hate.
Yep.
Because that plays real well with you guys.
Yeah, and it's
and look, let me just, Republican voters, you deserve better, okay? Like you deserve better. Everyone deserves better, because while it might feel good to hear your congressional lawmaker like talk about how the others are awful and scary and terrorists, what does that really do for you?
Don't know.
Because about 14% of people living in Colorado's 3rd congressional district, that's the district represented by Lauren Boebert, living in poverty. 18% of children living in her congressional district, living in poverty. I would argue for the people who voted this crazy person into office that you'd be far better served by someone who's more interested in focusing on policies to better your life materially rather than, tug on your heartstrings with fear and hate.
Yeah.
Just saying, I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe you enjoy seeing your children starve.
Yeah, I don't know, we have been trained that if things aren't going well, first of all, many of them have had it ingrained in them through decades of propaganda that it would be better to just suffer than to have the government help you. It's not the place of government. You should just hope the whole rest of your life that someday a church will come and help you or whatever. And that what can fill the gap is feeling temporarily superior to some other group. Because I'm not a Muslim and all Muslims are terrorists, so sure, I may not have health insurance and I'm never gonna get to retire and I'll never own my own home, but at least I'm better than those terrorists, I guess. And it works on a surprising number of them. And they don't even have to be good at it. Like Boebert right there, her punchline was, hey, looky here, the jihad squad. And not only did people laugh, but they clapped. Like she had just delivered a great one-liner. Have you seen the tweets from like the so-called like independent, like right-wing media people? They get thousands, there's no cleverness. They get thousands of retweets. They don't have to be clever. They don't have to be insightful. They don't have to be funny. They certainly don't have to have any compassion or empathy. There's this bare minimum thing that they have to do. They just have to show, I hate the same people you hate. I fear the same people you fear. And that's really all that it takes. And she is just minimally clever enough to deliver that semi-regularly.
You're being generous. There's absolutely nothing clever about her, nothing clever about what she's doing. And look, it would be one thing if her disgusting comments were just offensive and her constituents loved it. But it leads to pretty legitimate death threats toward members of Congress who are just trying to do their jobs and don't lean into disgusting hate in order to win political brownie points with their constituents. So Ilhan Omar shared a voicemail message that she received, and it's pretty horrendous. Let's watch.
I'm going to play you a voicemail that we received hours after I got off the phone with Representative Boebert after she posted her video.
We see you Muslims sin. We know what you're up to. You're all about taking over the country. Don't worry, there's planes that will love the opportunity to take you off the face of the earth. Come get it, but you Muslim piece of jihadist. We know what you are. You're a traitor. You will not live much longer. I can almost guarantee you that these people are rising up, and you will be tried for a military tribunal, and you will be found guilty.
So it's black people, right, that are culturally violent, according to conservatives in this country, right?
Candace Owens just said they're the most bloodthirsty group in America.
And by the way, Lauren Boebert has made herself the victim in this case. I want to read you a statement. I made a public apology, but she didn't want to hear what I had to say. Omar and the left don't want an apology. They want public humiliation. They want to cancel me, and that is not going to happen. Oh, but she's so strong, John. She's so courageous and so brave. I mean, does Lauren Boebert deal with the kind of harassment and death threats that members of the so-called squad deal with on a regular basis? I mean, she talks about how brave she is because she says Islamaphobic stuff to garner support among her constituents. Wow, bold. I haven't seen that happen before. What a victim.
Yeah, she's a victim of cancel culture, because again, cancel culture is when someone criticizes you for saying something insane. Something that she won't even defend on the merits. And none of the like softball powder puff interviews she's been having on Fox News ever actually engages with anything that she said. Laura Ingraham has her on to talk about how she's a victim of cancel culture. Laura Ingraham never makes the case for why, no, I think it is perfectly appropriate to label any Muslim I see as a potential terrorist. I think that makes sense. And making it about cancel culture, again, I've been saying this for literally years, do not play into the narratives about cancel culture. It is designed to protect right-wingers like this. That is all it's there for. And now she's saying, I don't need to do an actual apology. First of all, she didn't even apologize to Ilhan Omar in the first case. She said, if I offended any Muslims, then I apologize. That is not an appropriate apology. And now she's saying they just want humiliation. She's not worried about that. She speaks in public often. She's very used to humiliating herself. She goes around town with her husband who flashed his crotch at kids. She's not humiliated by that. Is she really humiliated by the prospect of giving a 5-minute press conference and apologizing to a congressperson?
Yeah,
I kind of doubt it.
She and her husband have had a few run-ins with the law, right? The lewd exposure by her husband is certainly fascinating detail that she doesn't like to talk about often.
Yeah, maybe that would be humiliating.
But he's not a member of Congress. Let's be fair. Let's talk about her. Well, she goes around passing judgment on other members of Congress who, again, are just actually trying to do their jobs instead of garner like a cult of personality. Boebert has engaged in all sorts of stuff in the past, and not too distant past, by the way. She's 34 years old. She had been arrested at 28. First time she got arrested was because her neighbors asked her, hey, can you maybe do something about your unleashed pit bulls? We're worried about our safety. She wouldn't do anything about it, so the neighbors called the cops, and Boebert got upset and started harassing them about it. And so that resulted in problems with law enforcement, which of course she pretends to be very supportive of. And that was in 2010. Also, Boebert was arrested twice in Mesa County. This was in 2015. Boebert was detained on June 20th of 2015 after a verbal altercation with police at Country Jam.
What happened to Back to Blue?
So it was a music festival, and apparently there were some children there who, or kids, I should say kids, who got arrested for underage drinking. And as cops were detaining them, Lauren Boebert started screaming and telling them to flee from police. And that caused the young drinkers to become unruly.
Hardly law and order.
Also, while she was being handcuffed for disorderly conduct, Boebert tried to twist away from police, according to deputies' reports. She, while I read this, why don't we take a good hard look at her mugshot? There we go. She allegedly shouted that her arrest was unconstitutional, that she had friends at Fox News, and that the arrest would be national news. By the way, of course, it did not become national news. She's 28 years old, by the way. 28-year-old woman acting like a freaking child.
She's already saying it's unconstitutional. Like, you can't cancel me. That makes sense. Why not just comply? I heard that you should just comply when the cops are trying to restrain you.
Boebert was released from custody and told to appear in court that August, but missed her court date. Doesn't take the court date seriously, huh? As she told the judge she forgot what day of the week it was, which, by the way, is totally feasible with Lauren Boebert.
Yeah.
So how about she shut her mouth and not pass judgment on others, especially based on nothing more than what their religious identity is? Because fact of the matter is, Lauren Boebert has done nothing useful, both as a private citizen or as a public servant.
Yeah.
All she does is, again, like use her cult of personality to garner support, just by saying hateful things about Muslims, just by scaring people about the others. That's it. That's all she. There's no substance to it. People in her district are still living with poverty. Things are awful in regard to COVID, and she's contributing to the awfulness of all of it by refusing to do the right thing in educating her constituents about vaccines and masks and all of that. She's just useless. She's a useless person, again, both as a private citizen and as a public servant. But you know what? There's a lot of useless private citizens. I would much rather prefer her to continue going to Country Jam than have any type of representation looking and sounding anything like her in the US House of Representatives.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.